You're listening to AnaerdaTV on CJSF 90.1 FM Burnaby. Welcome to the hour of spoilers, recommendations, and my perspective on various TV shows and web series. I'm your host, Adriana Billur. Another week and another new show I will be talking about. Today, I have a fellow anime lover joining with me as my guest. He goes by the name Cuthbert, or if it's easier for you, you may call him Martin. Hi, Cuthbert.
Hey, Adriana.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you feeling so far?
Excited. And a bit, scared.
I'm not gonna do anything that scares you, but I guess it's because you're low-key nervous.
Yeah, it's the first time I'm doing this kind of thing. And thank you, by the way, for calling me in.
Of course, because, awesome. By the way, we're talking about the Japanese anime television series called Soul Eater. And so Cuthbert and I met like way back. I think January 2017, we had like a course together. And then I didn't know he liked anime to the point one day we were talking about Seven Deadly Sins. It's another anime. And then Cuthbert was like, yeah, I watched it. And then he started giving me a rundown of it. And I was like, oh my God, you watch anime. And he's a freaking nerd. We'll talk about that later. So how did you get to watch Soul Eater, sort of? Like, how did you get to it?
Oh, okay. So, there's this time in my life whereby I just wanted to find a lot of anime to watch, because I watched a lot. I watched Naruto. I watched a lot of animes, and all of them are like done. So I was like, looking for what to watch.
Yeah.
But then I also watched Gintama, right?
I haven't heard.
So it's the same as Soul Eater. It's like all of it like action with comedy in it, and like the artwork are not really exactly the same, but they're still similar. So I was trying to search for something like that, and then I came across Soul Eater, and I loved it. I mean, it was awesome. With
me, it was because I was watching Blue Exorcist on Netflix, and then later it was like more shows to watch, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. It was on my watch list, and then when I went to like Florida last summer, I was like, I have nothing to do, and then I started watching Soul Eater. I still haven't finished all of it, but we can spoil it for me. That's absolutely fine, because I spoil it for my listeners anyway.
Sorry, guys.
So it's just fair that you spoil it for me. So, like we mentioned, today we're covering the anime television series known as Soul Eater. Yeah, it sounds kind of morbid, but it isn't. The manga originally ran from 2014 to 2013 and has 25 volumes.
Oh.
Have you read the manga?
No.
I haven't either, but I want to, because I feel like it has a lot of details that the episodes might not. Because a lot of the time the manga has these connections and links that sort of sums it all up, but then
the thing is, I can't really say, because I have never read a manga.
Seriously?
Yeah, because
dude, it's so good. You should try it.
I'll try it, because I don't know if I'll like it, because I'm more of like a visual kind of animation guy, but like if sometimes they do have more details.
See, a lot of the times the characters are drawn in the same way as they are in the animation itself, so you might actually like it. Just try it. Maybe, okay, so the first manga I particularly read was Death Note.
Death Note?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I have it's not essentially, it wasn't like a manga, it was like a book, but it was like a comic book. I had part 3 or 4 of it, so I didn't have all of it, but I had one part, and I was like, oh, mangas are actually pretty cool. And then I read Attack on Titans.
You read Attack on Titans?
I did. So I know what goes down, because Attack on Titans didn't finish yet, but I know what goes down, and it gets interesting.
Oh, don't spoil that for me.
I'm not going to spoil that for you. So our focus, however, is on the anime itself. And the series ran from April 2008 to March 2009. It has 51 episodes divided into 4 parts. It's been almost a decade since Soul Eater came out. It's been too long.
Yeah, the thing is, there's so many animes out there, right, that actually find the one that suits you hard. Because like if you go online, it's different from any other kind of like websites or whatever. If you like go online and see the popular animes, some of them you won't see Soul Eater up there, but it's up there. It won't be on the top 10.
Yeah,
but it's up there. and like
fair enough.
after you start going through the list of all the big animes, you know, and if your focus is in action and comedy, I'm sure you're bound to find it.
I actually really like how the characters are drawn out and how the characters are developed. I enjoy it because I still haven't finished, so I don't know how it ends, but I like it. Although some parts I'm just like, it needs a little bit development.
How do you see like the moon? Because like for me, I'm sorry to say this, but like for me, the most interesting part is the moon.
And
I
the
don't know.
sun. The moon and the sun,
They're always moving, laughing.
They're moving, they're laughing at the characters themselves. It's like one of the creepiest parts, like more than the witches. I'm like, sun, moon, what you doing? Actually, the moon sometimes sleep. No.
No, it's more. Oh yeah,
it does sleep though.
I don't think it
when
does
like
sleep.
the sun is coming out, the moon is kind of sleeping, right? Or is it the other way around?
They never really show it, but like all I do know is that the sun is always laughing, you know, like laughing at their faces.
I remember one time like Maka was talking to her dad on the rooftop, and then the sun was kind of like almost about to sleep. He was like dozing off, and then the moon comes up, but the sun is very menacing and it looks like it's about to like bite you off, and it sometimes bleeds red from its mouth, and it's just so creepy and cringy.
Well, when you think about it, you know, like the actual anime was actually based in like the Netherlands. It's like, you know, death. It's all about death, you know, and souls. So you know,
I mean, their principal is the Shinigami.
Yeah, true. And actually, it's actually in the name, Soul. You know.
Yeah. One of the characters' name is Soul.
Oh yeah.
That could also be it, but it's most likely because they eat souls. I'll explain that bit in a little bit. Let's just play a song, and when we come back, we can talk about the premise of the show in a more elaborated manner. Guys, the song I'm about to play is actually chosen by Cuthbert himself. It's called Strangers by Shelton Harris. Do you have anything to say about the song?
I'm just saying enjoy it because I really do enjoy it, you know. I found this song just by chance, but...
By chance?
Well, we're going to talk about that later.
Very good. Okay, yeah, we're going to talk about that later. I hope you guys enjoy this. You're listening to AnaerdaTV on CJSF 90.1 FM Burnaby. Last, when we left off, we were talking about the anime series Soul Eater, and we're now going to talk about the premise of the show. I say we because I have a guest with me, and his name is Cuthbert.
Hey.
You're doing really well, by the way. I say this to all of my guests, so don't feel special. I'm kidding.
Too
feel
late.
special. You're you're doing really great. You seem like a professional who just did this like a couple of times, so it's cool. You're cool. Don't worry about it. So the premise of the show, Soul Eater is a Japanese anime series that is set at the Death Weapon Meister Academy, where we follow the story of 3 teams, each of which consists of a Meister and at least one weapon. Now, a Meister is a person who is paired up with a weapon that can form into a humanoid. So the students of the academy, particularly the Meisters, have to use their weapons to collect 99 corrupt evil human souls and 1 witch soul so that the weapon can turn into a death sight. So a death sight can later be used by the headmaster of the academy, who's a Shinigami, and in other words, Death himself. That's basically the premise of the show. Yeah. So what do you particularly like about the show or whatever? I know we probably will talk about more details, but in general about the whole show, why do you like it or whatever?
Well, for me, it's more of like the artwork, you know? The artwork is just like, it's amazing, you know?
Yeah.
It gives you this sense of we are doing something like funny. At the same time, there's a lot of, not really fighting, but there's a lot of action in there. And it's not just a random, you know, kind of like violence, you know. It's more of like they have this kind of a mission.
Builds up. It builds up.
Exactly. It's like they have this kind of a mission and they have to do it in a particular way or nothing's going to happen. And what's really interesting about like the whole anime is how sometimes in the middle of like just a random chaos, like, boom, you see, you know, something funny pops up. Like, I forgot his name, but the ninja.
Oh, Blackstar.
Blackstar, yeah, Blackstar. Yeah. I love him because, like, there's this. I remember, like, the first time I watched it, the first impression I got.
Just a heads up to our listeners, we are going to talk about the characters later, so it's okay if you don't understand at the moment if you haven't watched the show. But yeah, sorry, go on.
But like, yeah, so this moment whereby he was like they show you the serious mood, like it's all dark, all silent, and then Blackster and Tsubaki, but like she was like telling him, because they communicate through, like in their minds, just like they don't have to say anything.
So the Meisters and the Weapon have a mind communication that they can do, so they don't have to necessarily talk out loud during like a battle.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
It's more of like, because their soul are connected. The whole idea is souls being connected, so that if they're on the same wavelength, so they can talk through whatever waves and whatever. So as what she was telling him, to be a spy, to be a ninja, you have to be silent, deadly, whatever, right? And then
he makes the most biggest noise.
He looks so good. He's like, I understand, I'm gonna do this. And then he's like, he's scrolling, he's like jumping, like doing this stuff, rolling and stuff. And I'm like, oh shit, this is gonna be awesome. And then boom, he just jumps on the table and he's like, I'm here to assassinate you. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, man? it was really, really funny. But because like the whole intensity of the moment, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to see what's gonna happen. And then boom, it was amazing, to be honest, and I was not expecting that.
And what I really like, it's they can change like your emotions from time to time, right?
Yeah.
Because you know how when Maka was originally fighting Corona, Corona.
I felt really bad about Corona, but go on.
I did too. We're going to talk about Corona. I have a lot to say about Corona, but yeah, when they were fighting, you feel like, oh crap, like Corona is the worst person ever, and it's like the worst. But you feel bad for the bad guys too. This is what I really like. You can't just side with one character. You can, but then you also kind of at times hate the main characters because you're like, okay, you're being unreasonable.
Well, that is true. And when you think about it, I feel like the other reason why I really liked the animation is because like in life, we all like see things on our own perspective. And just like as you said,
shows both perspectives.
Exactly. It's more of like when I'm doing something, I feel like, oh, this is right. Like when you start with the animation, you see how they kill this they call the bad eggs, Kishini?
Oh yeah, the evil souls.
The evil souls.
I forgot what they're called, but let's just call it evil souls.
Yeah, the evil souls. Like, so they're like, first they're like these beings, and then when they were like, destroyed, they turn into this red kind of like,
red soul.
Yeah, red soul. But like, as you start, first of all, them saying they're just evil, you start thinking like, oh my god, like they deserve this, Then later you meet a person like Corona and you see what he does, is a product of, the
what
parents.
He was taught to do.
Exactly.
Like, he didn't know better.
Exactly, and then it kind of like feels like, oh wow, if we just stopped for a second and tried to, see it on their side, maybe there'll be something different. But then,
a different perspective.
Yeah,
that's very true. With even Maka's dad, I was like, oh man, like he sucks, because you can see he's like, oh yeah, I loved your mother, and initially I thought Maka's mom is dead, but spoiler alert, she's not dead. And so I'm like, okay, he's an asshole. He's a total asshole. Why would he? And then there's this whole thing about him falling in love with Maka's mom, and I was like, come on, my dude, like seriously. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the characters, because I feel like we need to spend more time talking about the characters rather than the premise of the show, because we have a lot to say about the characters. When we come back, actually, we're going to play Want To by Dua Lipa. It's been out since September. It presumably new. I don't know how to speak English from time to time. You know this, like we've been friends long enough for you to know that I get stuck on words, but it's not completely necessary.
We all go through the same thing. Don't worry about it.
Second language problems. All right, guys, I hope you guys like the song as much as you probably did with the first one. Hello guys, we're back. You're listening to AnaerdaTV. I keep on saying that, but I know when I edit my podcast and upload it on my website, it's gonna sound weird because I usually cut off like the songs. So it's just, there's like a blank silence there, and I'm like, welcome back, and people are just like, what are you welcoming us back from? Because we've been gone for 5 seconds. Anyways, we're talking about the anime series Soul Eater, and now we're going to talk about the characters, and you can give your input on the characters themselves. So first off, we're obviously going to start up with Maka, who's the main protagonist, who happens to be the Dead Sight's daughter. What do you feel about the character? Oh, by the way, her weapon his name is Soul, and Soul is a demon scythe. Yeah, so talk about both the Meister and the weapon. I feel like it's better.
Okay, so the Meister is
the wielder of the
I think
Maka.
it's Maka, right?
Yeah,
and
the girl.
And the soul is the
guy. I like the guy.
Yeah,
The one with the white hair.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know about her. It's a bit complicated, you know. It's like she's weak, she's strong, she's in the middle. You know, she's emotionally unstable. At the same time, she is emotionally stable.
I feel like they kind of weren't okay with the flips. At times, you're just confused because how is she just flipping from here to there? You know? Because I remember this particular episode where the 3 teams were getting together and they were trying to do soul resonance. And you could clearly see that Maka was the one that was
dragging everybody down.
Yeah. And then later on, you see Frankenstein going, yeah, she's the leader. And I'm just like, wait, what? I mean, from like 30 minutes of her crying and having a whole revolutionary idea or whatever, like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that is true. Because, like, when you think about it, like, we're going to talk about another character, you know, but, you know, Death the Kid, we're going to talk about, maybe later. But, like, if you ask me and you tell me who should be the leader, I feel like Death the Kid should be, because he is strong. He is smart.
He's focused.
Though sometimes...
I mean, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, sometimes he does some really stupid stuff. Like, you know, he gets agitated by the most weirdest of things.
He has OCD, so it makes sense.
Well, I understand that, you know. I understand that. But, like, you know, because of that, in fighting, sometimes if he does something and takes its alignment off, he's like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
It's exaggerated, obviously, because of the purpose of the show. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like Death the Kid is more worthy of being like the leader. I mean, I'm not opposed to Maka being the leader because at times she does step up and you kind of see a lot of the times she's the more powerful one. But if we're making her the leader based on her being powerful, I don't really feel like, because if she had any other weapon aside from soul, it wouldn't work out.
True. Actually, they did try. Actually, they cannot do that. Remember, if you take someone else's weapon, it feels heavy.
Yeah.
You can't actually even,
because their soul doesn't have the same wavelength. So now let's talk about Black Star. He's our fellow ninja assassin, and his weapon is Tsubaki. Her category of weapon is a shadow weapon. Tsubaki is a very interesting character.
She is.
Because at first you think she's just those lame characters that is just like, oh my god, I'll do whatever my weapon says. I mean, my Meister says. Yeah. But then you see that she actually has a lot of background and, like, she has a lot of power.
Actually, yeah, because, like, you know, if you go on the anime series, you get to realize where she comes from, the clan she came from, you know? Ooh. So, you know, like, if you really, really love the anime and you go throughout and you get to see the brother.
Yeah.
Right? And how powerful he was.
Essentially, Tsubaki could only turn into 2 types of weapon at first, but then we find out that there's a whole other story with her brother and how her brother went corrupt, and he has he can turn into a soul. Sword. Tsubaki's brother, but he starts collecting like innocent souls, and he starts kind of taking over other people's body and forcing them to yield him. And the thing is, Cuthbert said, you cannot yield someone else's weapon. So it kind of puts a toll on the person, especially because that particular weapon, the sword, is very, very difficult to control. So he ended up killing people in the process.
Yeah, also the sword itself had more of like a wave, power than any other normal person, you know?
True.
So like this guy was forcing normal people to wield them to do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
You know?
Ended up killing a lot of people, but later on Tsubaki gets it back. Although, okay, because I didn't watch part 4, so I'm not sure. Is the brother fully dead, or is there a little bit of remnants of him still in the sword?
Well, that's the thing. They don't really show it. You know, they don't really say it.
But it feels like, right?
Yeah, because this moment whereby she was like feeling weak near the end. You know, I don't want to spoil it for you guys. But
no, you can spoil it for me. I don't mind. And they already know that the whole show is about a spoiler.
You know, like, okay, so the whole point the academy was started. Sorry about that. It's because before Death became Death, everybody knows and love, because Death has this really good appearance. Like he has like his
He
skull.
has a funny, cute mask.
He
It's
has
cute.
big hands, like chop, stuff like that.
Funny Death.
Yeah, exactly. Funny Death. Before that, he was the real Death. He had this scary mask. Everybody was scared about him. I mean, they were
They
scared.
should be.
Of him.
He's Death.
Yeah, and also he had like this, all of the death sites which surrounded him were really powerful.
Yeah.
Right? And actually, he wouldn't really wield them. They had their own meisters. But then one of them, who is...
Ashura.
Yeah, he got crazy with power and stuff like that.
We're going to talk about Ashura, in a bit.
Yeah, but then towards the end, as they go to, fight against this guy, right, you can see, each and every character are having their own difficulties. Like, they want to overcome themselves, their fears. Yeah. And you can see this one part whereby Black Star's weapon, Tsubaki talks with, the brother, in a sword form. Like, it's like this resonance. It's more of like he's dead, but because their souls sometimes resonate, it's like you communicate with them. So it's not really like they're in the sword. It's more of like, let's say they're not even on this planet at the same time they are there. It's more of like, we are resonating on the same wavelength. It's like, now we're communicating.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time when Black Star is kind of trying to yield the sword, you see how on the inside of the sword, it's like all very dead and corrupt. Like, it's just not Tsubaki vibes.
Yeah, it's like a whole other universe in there.
Yeah, true. Now we're going to talk about Death the Kid, who's the son of the Shinigami, the headmaster, the Death. I mean, yeah. And his weapons are Liz and Patty Thompson. They're weapon partners, and they form semi-automatic pistols. Now, the reason why Death the Kid actually has two weapons is because he's all about, how do you say it?
Symmetry.
Proportion, symmetry, and all that. So he wants two weapons that are exactly the same. And he has an issue with his weapon humanoids when they form their human self, they're not the same size, and he has a lot to say about that. He's just like, okay, why aren't you guys the same size? Like, you're the same size as a weapon, why aren't you same size in the real world? And they're just like, that's how we were born. Like, damn, dude.
It's actually pretty crazy, because not only does he speak of his, of their sizes, he speaks of way more stuff.
It gets inappropriate.
But like, it's and you're like, dude, chill out, and like sometimes he can't fire until his hands are perfectly aligned. Yeah. He's like, okay, now I can fire.
He's such a super cool character, and he has a lot of power, trust me. But I really like him only because it shows how a lot of the struggle is with yourself. You have to be okay with it, and then only can you be okay with other things around you. Because in fights, many times, at a point you kind of just expect it to happen. If one thing goes from one thing to another thing, slight difference in symmetry, he just freaks out.
Yeah, he passes out.
And all that.
Sometimes he just can't function at all.
Remember the first time he had a fight with Death Star? Dark Star? Dark Star? Did I say Death Star? I apologize. Black Star.
Black Star.
There you go. Okay, so the first time he had a fight with Black Star, you could see that at a point he tried to yield Soul, because, I mean, Maka was like, I'm not gonna fight with Soul, using Soul, and Tsubaki was like, I'm not gonna be part of this. So Black Star yielded Soul, and obviously was really heavy or whatever.
Yeah.
But at a point, that the kid kind of just stopped, and he was like, it's not aligned. And I'm just like, boy, you're about to die. Can you not?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You're like, also there's like in the beginning how Death Star is Death the Kid is introduced, right? It's like when they go to that desert in the pyramid, and you could see how he couldn't function because the pyramid was off in the end. He's like, he's dead.
No. I remember. It was the mummy that was in the case. So the case itself was very symmetric and all that. But when the mummy got out, it was obviously not symmetric. And he was like, are you freaking serious? Everything was symmetric, even like the pyramids itself, but the dude wasn't. And
I think he destroyed the whole thing because of that, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it was so crazy. He was there and he's like, oh my God, everything is like perfect, But, there's actually a twist in this. I mean, have you seen his haircut?
Yeah. He's so sad about it though. I believe in the first few episodes he talks about it. Like his haircut is not like, if you see it, you can clearly see it's not symmetric because
I think Blackstar made fun of him because of that, and like
he freaked out. So a part of his hair on his front bangs, it has white stripes, but the rest of his hair is black. So it's kind of how do I say it? A backlash? It's not the right word, but you kind of get what I'm saying. It's sad. It really is.
It bugs him a lot.
Ooh.
Actually, before we go on, I feel like, you should also like see how the guy is able to, wield two, weapons.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody else does that.
Yeah, that's true.
Apart from death sometimes, because, you can shift. But like, when you think about it, because those people are two different people, even if they're like sisters, right?
He has to link with both the souls, right?
Simultaneously at the same time and fighting with them, And like sometimes when they do the soul resonance, he has to resonate with both of them. And
that's why it wasn't as difficult for Death to resonate with the other two teams, but it was for the other two guys. Because you know how Maka, Death the Kid, and Blackstar was trying to resonate like all together, the 7 of them. Death the Kid could do it very properly, like he was being open about it because he's used to it, but the other two weren't. And I feel like maybe it's because he's the son of the Shinigami, that's why.
Yeah, I guess.
But then again, it's just, he's a very powerful character. The only fallback is his mental illness, which I find is okay. But sometimes in the anime itself, they exaggerate it a little.
Much.
I feel like in real life he wouldn't be like that, but then again, I don't know. So I like the character itself. Let's talk about the main antagonist, the Ashura, or the Madness himself. Do you know why he was mad though?
No.
So he, like in this world, you're only supposed to eat the evil soul, corrupt soul, right? The ones that turn into red. Ashura ate his own weapon.
Oh yeah, but isn't that like after he got mad?
It's true. Actually, it was on the process of him getting mad. He wanted more power, and he wanted to be both the the Meister and the weapon. That's why he swallowed the weapon, and then he kind of like started collecting all the souls. But I think there is something with the fact that while Death was trying to suppress him and kind of capture him, Death put a little of his not madness. Death was scared at that point because that's how most of it kind of started. And Death put a little bit of his fear into Ashura. That's how he became really mad. Like he started spreading the madness.
So it's more of like he wasn't able to control it?
Yeah. Because Death as a character is very, very, very powerful.
Yes.
So when such a powerful character gives even a little bit of madness to you, I mean, his fear to you, you can't just, hold on to it. There is more to it though. Just don't take my word for it completely. Yeah. There's more reasons why the character is mad. But I feel like with Ashura, because I still haven't seen part 4, so I don't know his full extent of power. Till I've seen part 3, he wasn't much of a bad guy. I feel like Medusa was more of a bad guy than Ashura, because again, I haven't seen part 4.
But then, Medusa wanted power. She wanted power. And if I remember correctly, it's because of what happened. She was a witch. She's a witch.
She's a witch.
Yeah, and when you look at that society, like, when you go back into like the time before Frankenstein was, like just a doctor, right?
Yeah.
Before when he was actually wielding the death scythe and actually, like collecting souls. That's when the witch, Medusa was also, in play.
Yeah.
And she went through other stuff too, right? I kind of forgot, but like, those witch hunts and stuff like that. Yeah. I feel like that's why she really hates humanity, I
mean, it's completely understandable because in order to be a death scythe, you do need one witch soul. It's kind of sad that it's part of the component of how to be a death scythe, but yeah. Do you know they're called the Gorgon sisters, the witches? Like Medusa has the snake themed. Medusa is the snake themed witch. Arachne is the spider witch.
Yeah.
So there are more, but I am just going to talk about these two. And okay, so compared to Medusa or Arachne, who do you think is more menacing?
I think Arachne is.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. She has this vibe. Did you like?
She does.
Even Medusa is scared of her. Remember when she was like really small? Have you seen that episode? She lost her power after she fought with Frankenstein. You know,
and the dead side.
Alabarn, I think.
His name is Spirit.
Yeah, but his other name is like Spirit Alabarn.
I forgot.
Yeah. But like, so when they fought, she lost. Of course, they thought they killed her, but then they didn't. And then as she was hiding, spiders saw her, and she's like, that's the one person I did not want, to find me.
See, I feel like Medusa is more creepy, and Arachne is more menacing.
Yeah.
And like Arachne, she hid for what, 8,000 years? It was something to do with 8.
Yeah,
800 years or something.
She was there in the meeting. All of them were there in that meeting. Have you seen that meeting? It's like when Death called them all into one pyramid.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, wow. Oh, well, okay.
I have a lot to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's a spoiler, but then as they were going through, wanting to know who the madness guy is, there's this point in time whereby they went into this kind of vortex, whereby it took them back to the past.
Oh, yeah. No, I've seen that. Yeah, okay. I've seen that.
Yeah, and in that point, you remember seeing all of them. You remember seeing like all these horrible like people we say like witches, monsters. All of them came into one roof, and then Death was there.
Yeah,
which is kind of like weird because right after that, that's where like the huge kind of like battle begins.
Explosion happened and all that. Yeah. So I guess I find Arachne to be more because I hate spiders. So I guess it's more on a See, I haven't gone head to head with snakes, right? The only time I've seen snakes is because like they were just on a TV show or something. But spiders, oh my god. Okay, so one time I was opening this cabinet and I feel like someone is staring at me. You get the feeling
someone's watching.
Yeah, someone's watching, and then I look to my left and like it's just maybe 2 or 1 inch away from my face. There's a huge ass spider, and I screamed, and my mom thought like some bad thing happened, and then she runs over. She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Spider." She's like, "Are you serious?" I have a fear of spider, and the worst is when I go back to my grandparents' house. They have a lot of spiders of different species that I do not know of, and I feel like Arachne sent them just to hear us. I'm just saying, because a part of her power is that she can hear through her spiders. So she even one of the creepy part was she went to Maka, and then like when Maka and Soul was there in front of her, she was like, "Oh, who forgot the curry?" and stuff like that. I was like, "Come on, dude, don't try to break them up." All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about one of our favorite characters, and we're going to know a little bit more about Cuthbert himself. We're going to listen to the song "You're Gonna Know My Name" by What Wyatt. Hello, welcome back. You're joined with Adriana and Cuthbert on today's episode of AnaerdaTV. We're talking about Soul Eater. So, let's talk about Krona, Medusa's son. The yielder of Ragnarok, the demon sword. At first, I thought that Ragnarok and Krona was the main evil, because that's the first big evil character that you see.
Strong.
Yeah, strong. So, with Krona, it's that the weapon gets out of Krona, which is strange, and that usually doesn't happen because you just yield the weapon. And then later on we find out that it's Medusa's son. By the way, Medusa disguises herself as the nurse of the academy, so it's kind of strange, but you can see that the other character, Frankenstein, the mad scientist, freaking genius. Okay, by the way, actually, before Krona, I thought Frankenstein was the bad character.
Oh, because of how he's first introduced, huh?
Yeah.
And that creepy man, like...
It was so weird the way Frankenstein was introduced. The two teams, Black Star, Tsubaki, Maka, and Soul, they were supposed to go to Frankenstein and get something.
Was Dead the Kid there too?
No, Dead the Kid, that was the first time we knew about Dead the Kid. Because you know how they were all going on about Sid, their teacher, how Sid died and became a zombie, and then later on after that they were supposed to go to Frankenstein to kind of talk to him. But then we see that Maka's father, Spirit, he's like, "Oh my god, you don't know, Frankenstein's the worst person. One time I woke up, he was doing something with my toe, I had stitches everywhere." I was like, shit, this is like the bad character. And then that's when I first found out actually that Maka's mother and Maka's father were like Meister and Weapon. I did not know that, but it was fun. And Frankenstein himself is like, he does a lot of inventions and a lot of things.
He's a researcher. He's a scientist. But then,
ironically, he becomes mad.
Yeah, but when you think about it, he does some really controversial stuff, He
does.
And the funny thing is that why does death let him, But then because he's a really powerful asset, he's really powerful.
I feel like when you want someone to work for you and that they're a very powerful asset, you just let some things slide.
And he is very loyal though. He knows his side,
Now speaking of people inventing stuff and making things better, Cuthbert, do you want to tell people about Max Drill?
Okay, yeah.
Go on about it. You can take the rest of the minutes. I don't care.
Okay, I won't take much of time, but
you can.
Yeah,
that's absolutely fine. I have so many questions.
So Max Drill is it's a website I built. Yeah. It's a music website to be more exact. I built it way back. The first time I did it, it was just weird. It was so weird. It was everything was everywhere. I was still learning coding at the time, but then I remember the first time I had the biggest kind of problem was how do different websites recommend things to people, right?
Yeah.
And they get to use genres, what you listen to, what other people listen to, right? But then I wasn't able to do that because first of all, I was a small website. I wasn't able to have so many people, millions of people, to kind of assess and analyze all these people to say, okay, you most likely would love this. So I come up with the idea of what if I could just analyze the actual song itself and analyze you, because that's way more it's not easier, but it's more accurate and easier for me.
My dude, you just said all this thing it's just 1, 2, 3 ABC. To you, maybe it must be, but to me, I'm just oh my god, he's a freaking genius.
Well, not
so
true. I mean when you think about it, just think of this, all the songs you've been listening to right now, right? I have a theory is that they're not really so different from one another. If you really, really go down into them, if you analyze how many beats they are, if you analyze, all these components.
Wavelength?
It's more with wavelengths a bit different because any song.
It was a Soul Eater joke.
Oh yeah, I kind of got that. When you think of a song, it has different frequencies in there, from 20 hertz to audible range. But then to analyze these frequencies is quite hard, and per se it's almost impossible to get that data from in terms of computing. It's really hard because But when I started doing my research, it was really hard. But then now at least I'm seeing some results. It's recently, by the way, I just finished it. It's not at 100%, but it's
I'm so excited.
working.
Okay, I will be so pissed if I'm not one of the first people that get to use it, because he also is going to take out an app version of it, and when it's released, I want to be one of the first person to download it and use it. I will be high key pissed if I'm not one of those people.
Don't worry,
I'm just saying.
Before even release it to the general public, it's a plan that people test it first, because I won't lie, there's gonna be errors because I'm doing this. It's me and my buddy, right? Duncan, shout out to Duncan. But so he's actually the app developer.
Yeah.
And I make the online version of it.
Who made the logo?
A friend of mine is called Daniel. He's from back home. He's from Tanzania.
Nice. I feel like I've seen the logo before, but it's impossible, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, because with logos though, some things might change just a bit, making it completely different. But then again, they shouldn't be too similar.
Tell me what's Minerva.
Actually, that's the name I gave it. The program which predicts.
It's so cool.
No, but it's sometimes I get really scared because it's an idea that I've been working on. At the same time, I do not know how people are gonna because sometimes I'm scared of feedback. I'm okay. Sometimes I feel okay, I'm gonna let people use it and see. But then at the same time, I'm oh my god, should I really do it?
See, I know how you feel because a lot of the time it's not in the same context, obviously, but a lot of the times I tell my listeners you can give me recommendations or tell me how to make things better, but then I'm okay, can I take the criticism? Because I feel bad if someone shit talks essentially about my program, but then again I'm if they don't, I don't know how to improve myself. So I feel what I'm looking for, what you're probably also looking for, is constructive criticism.
Well, yeah, apart from that itself, it's just the fact, the first time I did my online project, I had only 120 people testing it, but at the same time it was a huge burden on me. I felt there's so many people using it, of course they gave me positive feedback, but the problem with me was it wasn't really the positive feedback. It was more of like people using it. It's like the sense of responsibility. You know, I love it. I like coding. I love coding. I love just researching this kind of stuff, you know, because you don't really, some of the things I did, you don't really learn to class. You just have to go online, you know, and, you know, Google it, do this and that.
Yeah.
Because of that, sometimes I get so scared, like, oh my God, are they gonna really accept this? And also I have like 120 people. If I mess up anything, the whole thing crashes. You know what I mean?
True, but see, what I really like about your coding and everything is that no matter what you say, you're not afraid of putting it out there, because eventually you know you will have to.
Yeah.
And you know that a part of you wants yourself to improve, as probably most part of you wants yourself to improve so that it's better for the mass majority. So I feel like you just have to embrace it and be like, okay, if I fuck up with 120 people, it's fine, because millions of people, when they use my app, they'll get the better version of it.
Yeah. So sometimes I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I'm waking up today. I'm gonna conquer the world. God damn it. You know, I'm like, yo, I am going to go out there and Spotify, whatever big website is out there, whatever big, you know, app version, I'm gonna.
Did you have an interview with someone few days back?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, okay,
like,
we're not going to talk about it. Yeah, we're not going to talk about it or jinx it or anything. I hope it works out fine. I tapped the wood so that it doesn't get jinxed. Tell me this. Is it like really easy for you, the whole coding stuff? Because honestly, when I had to like take a coding class, and I honestly did not enjoy it, and then I saw you and you were doing so well because you were enjoying it, and it felt like, looking at you, it felt like you were just naturally born with talent.
That is not true.
Okay, that's what I want you to talk about.
Actually, to be like, the thing is, you know, before I even like, the reason I came to Canada was literally to like study coding. I didn't even think of like a degree of anything, sad enough, you know, it's whatever. I just took it as it is. And I told my dad, I love coding. I just want to learn more. I want to learn more, to use more, to do my own kind of thing. So when I came here, I just came with the idea of like, want to learn. But before that, I remember I was like 14 or 13. I told my dad, I want to code. I want to make a website. I think this is the first time I used, I think it was Facebook.
Yeah.
And then I told my dad, Dad, so I want to do this and that, you know, coding, whatever. I want to build my own music website. And then I was like, I have to wait until university to learn all this. And my dad was like, what do you mean you have to wait until university? Go do it now. Go learn and whatever. So I started learning when I was like 14 or something, you know? So it's like literally when I came here, I had like
a little background.
A lot of background. Because I did a lot of experimentation. I remember at the time I was so psyched. I would stay like an all-nighter on just like, and the funny thing is, for anybody who knows coding out there, it was like HTML. So yeah, you can laugh. But like,
my God.
I
am even going to laugh because
it was awful. It was awful. I was horrible at HTML, CSS, and then later on, it's like, when I was building the website, you can't believe it, I actually used audio tags just to like make tracks play, and that's like the most inefficient way. But I was like, God. This was like my first time learning how to do this. Then later on, I learned like PHP, SQLs. I learned so many languages, and now it's like so different. But like what you said, like I was born in talent, that's not true. It's more of like
acquired.
Yeah, it's more of like you keep on doing what you like. You just keep on doing it. And trust me, there are people who are going to tell you you can't do it. And not because of like they tell you on your face. It's more of like the things they do. It's like, oh my God, I can't measure up. You know?
Yeah, true. See, this is what I really like, is because a lot of the times we forget that the people that we essentially look up to, or like are very talented, quote to quote, actually had to go through a whole process to get there.
And the thing is, sometimes I don't even think, actually all the time I never even think I'm talented. I will just usually...
But you are. I keep on saying that a lot to you. Somehow you just go walk past it and you don't even listen to it.
I'll take that comment if everything goes well and like I'm like, okay, actually... goddamn, I am talented, but I don't think I'll ever admit that. I can code. I can do
Okay, by the
stuff.
way, I'm just gonna edit this part where he says I am talented and put it on loop when
that's not fair.
there you go. Out of context. Unfortunately, guys, that's all the time we have for today. Do tune in next week, same time. That is Saturday, 10 a.m. I'll be waiting for you with more spoilers, recommendations, and my take on different series. If you wish to recommend me something, send me theories about TV shows and web series, or even to just show some love to me or to Cuthbert. If you want to follow Cuthbert, where can they find you?
CM Luenga, that's on my Instagram.
Perfect. And you can find me on Adriana Ballur. I'm basically most of my social media is Adriana Buller. We're going to play one last song. It's called Easy by HYDDE and Matan KG. Thank you for listening. Take care, stay safe, and keep on binge watching responsibly. Do you want to say bye to them?
See you guys.
That's it? You're not going to say anything?
Well, have fun. And also, if you have, when you have that few minutes, register on my website. It's maxtrill.com. I'm still working on it, but why not?
Okay. So, do you want to sign off together? Until next time.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.